Alright, so you probably noticed I did some painting. So I know I said I was going to show like everything, but if you've seen one person use a paint roller in your life, you've seen basically all of them. So I did a nice little black paint job. I still got to get some more spots on here. Got to get a smaller roller because I was using a large roller because of all the water surfaces. Plus, I got to paint over where all the caulk is. I was waiting for that to dry. So now that that's dry and set up, I can go ahead and paint it, and that'll be set. There's two things I need to do still. So one is I'm going to put some adjustable feet that I 3D printed on the bottom of this. Now, I 3D printed some feet, but there are alternatives where you can buy different things from different places. So even some like home improvement stores will have something, maybe even a craft store. So just basically like adjustable table feet or adjustable feet is something you can search for online, and you'll probably find what you're looking for. The other thing I need to do is I want to make sure that these back two panels remain, as a single unit. So when I take them apart, before I take them apart, I'm going to have to put a board in here, just two 2x4s very quickly, and screw those two together just to keep that back panel the same. And that's pretty much it. So the first thing I got to do is turn this over on its side so I can get access to the feet on the bottom, and then we'll get started on putting those feet in. Alright, so I 3D printed these little feet, and I'll give you a better look at them. So they're not super complex or anything. Oh, drop a piece. They're basically made of two parts. So the first part is this little black foot, and that's got I printed a gap for a hole for a 5/16 bolt into it, and that's just epoxied in there. And then the next one is this little base piece, which has 4 screw holes and then a cutout for a 5/16 nut. That's epoxied in. So pretty much I will take this piece, put it on the bottom of the leg, and then take my foot and then just kind of screw it in there. And then once I have them all in place, all I need to do is just adjust each leg until I get it level. So pretty simple process, and I'll just go ahead and put them on. And I'm going to use the same number 6 drywall screws that I'm using the whole time to get this attached to the bottom of the leg. So it shouldn't take very long, so we'll get started. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, I do need to drill out the appropriate sized hole for each one of these as well. So I'm going to put 2 screws on each one of these on the post that drill a smaller hole in the center so that I can have a guide, and then I'll go ahead and drill the whole 5/8 hole out. And that's just so that it has a place for the leg to screw in when it's got excess. So I'll continue on with that. Alright, got my 2 pieces of 2x4. Doesn't matter if they're the same length or not. If you want to make it perfect, then make them the same length. In this case, you're not going to really ever see them. So I didn't particularly care. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one screw right at the top, or in the area where I want the boards to be, on the back side. Get it started, and see if I can find where I can go through. Oh, there it was. Okay, so I got my piece in there, and I'm just gonna find it again. I'm just gonna put my board on here. So having a friend is real helpful. See if I can find it again. There it is. Got it. And ideally do all that before you paint so you don't screw up your paint at all, but yeah, I'm okay at this point. Now I'm just going to do 2 screws to keep this in place. That's all that really needs to be done on it. Okay, and same thing on the other side. So these 2 boards are in now. Those are good and solid. That'll hold the back panel together when I take it apart. Last thing I got to do as far as construction goes, which I mean, it's not really construction anymore, is just paint. So I'm going to do some painting. Now, again, I apologize for painting a little bit without the camera on, but you know, it's fine. It would have been cool to have that in fast speed a little bit, but at the same time, it's just as nice to have it, you know, finished off this way. So I'm going to get the camera at a nice angle, and then I'll start doing the last bit of painting. Alright, so finally done painting. With that out of the way, the only things left to do is a little bit of minor customization and moving things around. I gotta screw in all the electronics, do all that kind of stuff, but there is like one last thing that I need to do just to really get the last bit of things done, and that's to make a hole for the power cord. So the way I'm going to do the power cord is basically just a, it's going to be, you know, on the first 2 frets, and you're going to be just, you know, 2 notes away. Just kidding, that's a different kind of power cord. So the power cord that I'm going to use is just a just a typical power switch or a circuit protector power strip, pretty much. So I'm going to use one of those, and that's really all I'm going to need. It's got about 6 plugs in it, and it will act as both power supply and circuit protector. Now I made sure I got one with a good sized cord, about 6 feet, which should be plenty for any, you know, if I put it near an outlet. 6 feet, you know, plenty of space for what I'm going to do with it. But I still need to drill that hole, so we're going to go around the back, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to drill that hole. Alright, so I've got my general purpose power strip here. Nothing special, just a typical old power strip. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug one end into the other, and now I have infinite power. Just kidding. So what this is going to be is this is going to be mounted inside, which I'll have to do once I take it all apart at this point and once the paint's dry. But for the time being, I can go ahead and drill a hole. Now I need to drill a big enough hole that I can, you know, comfortably fit this through. And there's a couple ways that you can do this, a couple ways that you can hide it. You know, a typical old style arcade machine, a lot of the time they wouldn't really clean it up too much. They would just drill a decent sized hole and, you know, slip this through there, because a lot of them did in fact have this kind of thing going on inside of them. It was really kind of funny. When I used to work on them, I would just find these and be like, oh, cool, guess if that goes bad, I can just buy a new one from the hardware store. And really they would just slide the cord out the back, and they wouldn't really clean it up or dress up the hole very much. So I'm not going to do a whole lot to it either, to be honest. You can, there's a couple different ways to do, to make it, dress it up and make it look, you know, real nice and stylized. You can actually even buy a little moldable plug that you can put in on the side, and you basically cut the end off this, and then you would wire it into that plug. But I'm not gonna do that because that's way too much hassle. So instead, I'm just going to cut the big enough hole, slide this through, and that's all I really need to do. So to figure out what size this is gonna be, I'm just gonna take the biggest drill bit that I have and go with it. Oh, also jigsaw. Now you want to be careful when you're doing this that you don't cut into where your lumber was for, where this is. So you got two options. One is to go, bias it off to either side or go straight out the back. I'm going to go off to the side because that makes, if I go out to the center, I got to lose a little bit of cord length to come out around it. Or actually I'll bias off to the center, and what I'll do is I'll just run the power strip up along like this, and that'll actually give me a pretty nice look on the inside for it. So we'll do that. So I'm just going to pick a nice spot here. There, looks good. There we go. So got my hole, and it's clearly too small, so I'm gonna have to make that bigger, and that's what a jigsaw is for, pretty much. Now I don't want to go crazy with this. I don't want to make it some gigantic massive hole, so I'm just gonna put the plug up against it to get an idea of where I'm at. And I got a little ways to go, but it shouldn't be too bad. All right, hole made. It's actually kind of perfect. Now, it's not the roundest hole by any means, but it does allow it to slip right in because I made enough space for the prongs. So that's good. If I do it this way, it doesn't go through. If I do it like that, it doesn't go through. But if I line it up, it goes right in. So you know what? Actually not that bad. Now again, if you wanted to dress this up, totally up to you. You could take some kind of material like a felt, or even 3D print something plastic, which I may actually do at some point. And what you would do is you would take the 3D printed piece, and it could come in two pieces, and you would just one like that, make a big enough hole for the cord to slot through, and then put another piece in, and just kind of put them together, and then it would cover it up, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And I may do that at some point, just not now. I don't really care that much because this is the back of the machine, and nobody's gonna look at the back of the machine that much. All right, so sadly, the construction phase of the project is now finished. So there's not anything left that I need to do as far as cutting holes or doing any of that kind of stuff. There is one last part, which is going to be putting on a piece of plexi over the screen area, and that's going to be about it. So that doesn't really take a whole lot of anything other than getting it cut to the size I want, and those pretty much you score them and you break them and then you move on. So not a whole lot there. I'll just screw it in. But the last thing I need to do out here is take the whole thing apart and then get it all set, all into pieces I can handle, and move it upstairs to my game room. And that's where I'll actually go ahead and finish it off and get all the electronics in there. I'll get everything going and I'll get it working. I have to wire up all the buttons for the controls, but we're almost there. So without anything else to do, I was going to say thanks for watching. Appreciate it a lot. If you guys are enjoying this, please like, comment, subscribe, make my life better by helping me get up to at least 1,000 subscribers. I'm at 880 or so last time I looked, so I'm real close. Just 120 more. That's that's a lot, but if I can get to 1,000, that would be awesome. I would really love to do that so I can monetize my videos again and make a little bit of money back on this stuff, because nobody pays me to do anything. I just do it for fun. But if I can get paid for doing some of this stuff and recoup some of the cost, that would be great too. I'm also giving away, as I mentioned before, several games to the just 10 people, at least 10 people at random that I'm going to pick on my subscriber list. So if you're in that list, I will pick 10 people at random, and I will give you your choice of many of the different games that I have Steam-wise. So I've got things like Kerbal Space Program, I've got Mafia 3 with all the DLC, I've got Jalopy, I've got just a ton of indie titles. I might have Civilization, that might be one, Civilization 6 with all the DLC. I got a ton of games really. So, tell your friends, watch, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Share this video too also. Sharing it really helps me get the word out. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Until then, try not to die.